Hello, welcome. Today I'll be talking about the background and the foreground of creation and how we can best understand the difference between inanimate objects and animate objects. So this is just another device to help you kind of grasp and know what exactly is and what is not. So what I mean by background here is the past. The background of your being, the background of creation is what has built everything up until this moment. So this present moment is a reflection and it is a product, a representation of everything in your past. And you can even go into lifetimes and like reincarnation if you have that belief system, that your product, the product of your life now, is a representation and a reflection of all the other lifetimes that you've had before. Okay? So the background of creation is really inanimate. We can't really participate with the background of creation. It's the past. It's already happened. You've already participated with the background. So, we look at our past as it being static, it being factual, it being already done, it being already explored, right? You've already done all these things, so, you're on to the next thing. You're on to the next new experience, or the new job, or the new vacation, or the new video of mine. But the background is what is already transpired, and it effectively, you can't participate with it anymore. The only really thing you can do with the past is reflect on it and view it in a different way. Really, we can really look inward and see how a past mistake or a past success has really helped you to pave the way for your present reality and the way you are viewing, experience, feeling enveloped in this situation you are in now. And no matter if the situation is positive, negative, or neutral, good, bad, right, or wrong, whatever you want to interpret your situation as in the present moment, all of that was predicated, was built upon the foundation of what you have learned, experienced, memorized, lived, and went through in the past. So the present is kind of like it's a lag. It's kind of like it's a lingering of the past. It's like, you're not yet in the future. Each moment, you're shifting in the future, but you're not where exactly you can see, because, your consciousness is infinite in scope and in capability, and you can see so far into the future, and you can see into other parallel timelines and potentials and possibilities and probabilities. And I talk about this in many other of my videos. But the lagging part is that, we still have this past, and we still have this background that we kind of associate ourselves with, and we identify and latch onto. I won the high school football team for the county, for your state, if you're in the United States, and you latch onto that identity, and that's in the background, and you are no longer participating in these other opportunities that are happening, that are going to help you in your overall well-being. That's it. I'm not going to even go any more into that, because, well-being is essentially what we're after in life. When we're living, we're after our well-being. So the foreground is our associated with our well-being, and it absolutely is animate. It's alive. That's why I kind of drew creatures here to represent that. If there's a creature in the background, you're not going to really see the creature if you're looking at a landscape, you're not going to really see a creature far in the distance because your vision doesn't really allow you to do that unless you are like have binoculars and you're really reflecting on the background, which you're really associating your consciousness and your awareness into this far off distant place. um, and that can be set as the future as well. Really, you could be putting your consciousness towards what has not happened yet, and there is detriments, and there are useful ways to do that. But what I'm getting at here is the life that you see far off in the distance is not really participating with you. You can't participate it with. You can of course go through all these scenarios and possibilities and timelines and probabilities and potentials in your mind, but you're not really doing anything. You're not really shifting energy. You're not really changing, transforming the landscape that is here for you now and the life forms that are here for you now. Everything in the foreground is really visible. You can touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, hear it. And in the background, it's kind of like a mystery. You hear something off in the background, like an echo of your past, or a reminder of that time that you were once a young adult and you were angry at your parents, and it's just an echo. It's a mysterious because you don't know where it comes from. Of course, this is subconscious, but I'm putting it into a little bit funner context here. But the background, if you see for a moment a life form or a creature or an animal move in the background, you're going to only see it for a moment because they're going to hide behind a bush. They're going to go because they're, of course, doing their thing, and they're living their animal life and trying to survive. So they're trying to escape, the detection. But you can't really participate with that unless you go up to the animal and you're hunting or something and you kill the animal, or if you capture it or whatever. But then again, that's you putting your will into that potential of you participating with that creature in that way. So you have made the background into the foreground of your reality, of your consciousness. So the background is what I'm getting at, really, is like the place where inanimate things are completely founded your foundation for what your foreground is. And like this could go for your future as well. What you're imagining as your future is going to influence and weave itself into what you decide to do with the life forms, the objects, and the scenarios and the situations now. So you can see how things that we project our consciousness into the past or future is effectively influencing, infiltrating, and really tinging and coloring and making itself apparent and sometimes unapparent within your own present reality. So the foreground is, again, where the animate objects are, is where you can directly interact with them. And going back to the example of the creature in the background, that life form that you want to participate with, even if it's like a plant or if it's like a mountain that you want to climb, right? When you want to go hike up the mountain, you are engaging in that and making it really come alive. Like you're participating with it in this new way that you're allowing for your present reality and your experience as a conscious, sentient, sovereign being to experience this, inanimate object and it's making it really animate. It's making it experiential. So there is benefit to that inanimate object in its own density and vibratory frequency, but that's another discussion. Anyway, the foreground is where all the action is at. This is where you are shifting and changing what your past and what your background and what your future is ultimately defined as. Because we can look at our background and our past in our future one way, and we can feel many different ways. A great success in a corporate job, in New York City could be absolute bliss for one person. For another person, it could be an absolute hell. So your very definition and your very perception of that, the emotion that it elicits, the background is the very foreground. Because the background, if you're looking at a background, ultimately it's as good as dead. The background is as good as completely, you can't live with it. You can't really act and really create with it. So the background is really this place where you are no longer functioning within. You're no longer really involved in, or you're not involved in yet. So you could see that there's this disconnection between the foreground and the background, and your will dictate whether you go make that experience, that engagement with the landscape a real experiential thing for you. Okay, so the foreground again is alive. It is welcoming you, and it is built upon the background, but your very fundamental meaning, the meaning that you attribute to the foreground as well as the background, is going to give you your new foreground, your new creation space, your new landscape where you're moving to. And the background, of course, is what dictates your foreground. So even if you perceive something as in your past as negative or bad or wrong, it's important for you to perceive that in a new vantage point and go back and participate with it through your consciousness. It's not like you have to like call somebody up and like have a conversation with them, unless that's like really important for you, but that's not necessary. All you have to do is imagine about that time where you were hurt or that you hurt somebody, and imagine how it could have went better, and feel how that timeline or that possibility feels, and completely rest in that and completely feel it 100%. And you'll see that your mood and your perception of it shifts, and there's a new timeline, there's a new possibility of you to participate with it, and it actually affects you now, and it'll affect your future. So you can see now that your perception is the most fundamental thing in existence as a conscious sentient being. And I hope that this diagram and this video really kind of painted a picture for you guys so that you can look at your background and evaluate it and detect any wrongdoing in it and shift that so that your foreground or you are able to create more efficiently, more effectively, and for your own well-being and others' well-being. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in another video.